Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, and Southwest Suffolk County on Long Island, serving the entire New York, New Jersey, Connecticut tri-state area. Everything you need to make sure your home looks good, is working properly, and that you're protected in case there's any kind of adverse weather, including a tropical storm or hurricane. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. Tropical storm Ian, which was downgraded overnight as it was moving across the state of Florida. The center of the storm emerged off the Florida coast near just over Melbourne, Florida, and now, if you look on the satellite loop, I'm kind of impressed here. The center is pretty well defined. It almost looks as if that this thing is starting to organize. And we're still, by the way, seeing this persistent movement to the northeast. It's not moving north-northeast, nor is it moving northward close to the coast. It's going to go out into the open waters of the Atlantic and then gradually make a turn to the north and then to the northwest toward the South Carolina coast, and that's where we have hurricane warnings that are in effect. I think this has a chance of getting back at least to a Category 1, and there's a not-so-outside chance that it could even make a low-grade Category 2 hurricane before landfall. Now, on the U.S. satellite loop, the weather in the northeast is nice. We've got some patchy inland clouds, especially up in northern New England, and also in parts of central PA and southern New York. But along the coastal plain, skies are mostly sunny. Some high clouds starting to stream up from the south and from offshore. And you'll notice that Ian is really kind of the bottom, well, it is the bottom of this long boundary of clouds that extends out along the North Carolina coast and then runs all the way east-northeast to south of Nova Scotia. That's sort of the zone of where the tropical moisture is. And what we're going to start seeing is that zone is going to start gradually backing northwestward as we move through the next couple of days. And Ian is going to be on the bottom of this zone and making its way, as we said, it's going to go out offshore, far enough offshore that I think it's going to be able to strengthen and then find its way northward from there. Take a look at the radar. First on the wide view, you see the rain that's off the North and South Carolina coast. And then as we go close up, you notice the ring, the circular ring that's forming there. That is where the center is. And you're starting to see some of the convection moving southward and then wrapping around to the southwest. So I think we're going to see further signs that this system is getting better organized. And most of the forecast model tracks are clustered around a landfall to the west of Charleston. But the two most reliable models of this storm that we've been looking at closely ever since it was in the eastern Gulf of Mexico are the two blue line models here, the EGR2 and the UKX2. They have been the furthest east, and also the COTI, so we'll add a third model to the bunch. Those three models are east of where the cluster is, and I'm kind of leaning to the idea that they may be more correct, in which case we could see a landfall closer to Charleston, South Carolina, and then a track north-northwestward from there. So certainly something to watch. And you'll notice between now and tomorrow afternoon, the hurricane intensity models either hold steady, and we've got a few of them that are bringing this up to a Category 1. So here's the situation with regards to the weekend forecast. And it's a bit tricky because it's rather complex. You have this upper trough. The northern stream upper trough is moving out. We have Ian left in this sort of no man's land off the southeast coast, so it sort of drifts northward there, and there you see it, the upper air reflection on the GFS off into South Carolina. That core goes northwestward into western North Carolina, so I suspect that that's where we're going to wind up seeing those really heavy rains, those really problematic heavy rains. However, for us, the issue is going to be this southerly flow, and that's going to pull in all that moisture that's out offshore. That gets pulled up northward, up the coast, to about southern New England and the lower Hudson Valley. And then it comes to a deep screeching halt because just to the north of that, we've got westerly winds in the upper atmosphere. So this is going to be one of these deals where I think the further north you go, the less in terms of rain you're going to see. And how it plays out on the surface, the GFS has also come out further to the east. You see Ian making its way toward Charleston, South Carolina. And in the meantime, that ocean rain off the North Carolina coast. So this is this evening. This is tomorrow morning. Rain to the southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula. By tomorrow evening, there's rain, at least on the radar, as far north as central New Jersey. The northern edge of this, because of the dry air that's over the northeast, a lot of that may wind up evaporating before reaching the ground. Then you've got the core going in one direction and the other moisture moving up toward the northeast. And this is what's going to be around for Saturday for much of the area, at least Saturday morning. By Saturday afternoon, the back edge is about New York City. It might even be a little bit faster than that. And then we could see the rain come to a halt. Maybe there's some scattered light rain or drizzle Saturday night into early Sunday morning, and then we'll wait to see whether some additional rains back in some areas Sunday afternoon or evening as the core remnant low of Ian winds up moving off the North Carolina coast. And then early next week, it's all about this big high up in southeastern Canada that starts to build southward, and that should at least set in motion some slow improvement. We may have ocean clouds to deal with on Monday and maybe Tuesday, and then we'll have to see. The GFS wants to bubble up another low off the North Carolina coast there with a rather tight pressure gradient on Wednesday. I don't know how real that is, but bottom line, it's going to be a wet week. And also just want to point out that the gradient gets rather tight just south of Long Island, southward down through New Jersey and into the Delmarva Peninsula. Probably going to see winds at 20 to 30 miles an hour from the northeast there, maybe even the occasional gust to 40. I wouldn't rule it out. So not the best of weekends coming up, and we may have some struggles early next week before weather conditions improve. Weather in 5 brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. 631-756-1125 is the phone number. The website, omnitruevalue.com. I just want to show you also the Hurricane Center forecast. We have hurricane warnings for the South Carolina coast. Tropical storm warnings continue along the Florida coast, except for southeast Florida. All the warnings are down along the west coast of Florida. The coast of coastal Georgia in a tropical storm warning, and we now have tropical storm warnings up for the North Carolina coast up through the Outer Banks and continuing northward almost to the Virginia-North Carolina state line. We're going to go through all of this tonight again on the Joe and Joe Weather Show at 7:30 Eastern Time, so please tune in. That's on my YouTube channel, 7:30 Eastern.